Since this whole coronavirus debacle has started, Trump has only has been, Trump has the only thing Trump's been able to do is offer denial and delusion as the pandemic crisis overtakes his presidency, or the fake presidency, basically. Anyway, rarely has a president shown himself to be so unequal to a tragic national emergency. Hundreds of Americans are dying daily, and tens of thousands of people are getting infected from a once-in-a-century crisis. States and cities are closing down again, threatening to trigger a ruinous new economic slump. Doctors and nurses lack sufficient protective gear as they battle the deadly pathogen. And with testing swamped by waves of the disease, one top official is warning of the most difficult time ever for the U.S. public health this winter. Yet this is what's on Donald Trump's mind. Joe Biden. That Joe Biden didn't fix the country's roads and bridges. Crowds of bikers and boaters and maggot hats proved that election polls are wrong, and the border wall is almost finished, except it isn't. Oh, and by the way, where's Hunter Biden? Trump struck all the wrong notes on Tuesday, a day when Florida, now the world's coronavirus epicenter, recorded its highest ever COVID-19 death toll, and Texas broke its record for single-day infections. The fake president offered denial and delusion at a White House appearance that evening by his standards, which was a rambling, grievance-fueled mess. What is needed from Trump and his administration is a plan to tackle the most relentless national challenge since World War II, consoling words to memorialize the 136,000 Americans who are now dead from this virus and the thousands destined to follow, and the rhetoric to summon the will to triumph over this invisible enemy. All Trump could offer on Tuesday was a self-pity, incoherence, and indifference. He came across as a leader living in a different dimension from his people and their fear and suffering and uncertainty about what the coming months will bring. This is a fake president who has demonstrably failed to beat back the virus and has long since stopped trying to lead the country out of the darkness. He resorts to boasting about inconclusive steps he took months ago, like limiting travel from China, that have no relevance to the current moment. And he complains he's not getting enough credit for his performance. That's because there's nothing to give you credit for, you fucking idiot. He's also mining the divisive political seams he thinks helped him in the past. In a CBS interview on Tuesday, he insisted that more white people than black people are killed in the police railings, dealing an insult to the national soul searching about race. Following the death of George Floyd, we could go on for days, Trump said at one point in his Tuesday tirade, and for a while it seemed that he might in the blasting July heat of the Rose Garden, where journalists sat wearing masks, socially distanced, and in bemused silence. The ostensible point of 45 of Trump's Rose Garden appearance was to unveil a barrage of new measures to punish China for its suppression of freedoms in Hong Kong, which gave the fake president a new chance to fulminate against Beijing for sending a plague to the U.S., despite his earlier fawning praise for how President Xi Jinping had handled this pandemic. But it wasn't long before the session turned into the kind of negative Klan rally-style performance that 45 Pines were, with normal campaign events severely curtailed by the pandemic. He slammed Biden for his record on crime, trade, China, infrastructure, the economy, the military, and at one point suggested that hundreds of thousands could be dead by now, and had the former vice president been in charge when the coronavirus struck. Bizarrely, Trump also slammed the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee for his role in the Obama administration mobilization against the H1N1 virus, which was far more efficient and cost tens of thousands of fewer lives than Trump's missteps for the past few months. Trump has been charging that Biden is mentally impaired and is not fit for the Oval Office, and neither are you, Trump. You were never fit to be in that office. But at times, it was the president who appeared to be veering into confusion and incoherence. At one point, he appeared to argue that his rivals vowed to sign the Paris Climate Accord would lead to U.S. office buildings being constructed without windows, and he suggested Biden wouldn't even know how to define the word carbon. Neither could you, 45. You couldn't even describe that word. And another extraordinary twist on Tuesday, the White House stepped up what is now a full frontal assault against the government's top infectious disease specialist, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has been telling the truth about the dire turn taken by a pandemic that is now infecting twice as many people per day as it was several months ago. In a USA Today op-ed, Trump's top trade advisor and anti-China polemicist, Peter Navarro, wrote that the respected scientist has a good bedside manner with the public, but he has been wrong about everything I've interacted with him on. Actually, he's not. Fauci has been right on everything. Trump has been fucking wrong. If nothing else, the fake president's world appearance gave a whole new meaning to the notion of incumbent presidents running for a second term in a Rose Garden strategy by staging a highly unusual campaign-style speech to rail against his opponent from the White House. In recent days, whispers have emerged from inside Trump's camp that aides are worried he has yet to settle to a strong campaign message and that his re-election effort is meandering. If there was a second-term manifesto hidden in Trump's digressions and bitterness on Tuesday, it was very well disguised. The fake president had an uncanny feel for the resentment of the Washington establishment and the perceived indifference towards political elites and political correctness at a time of sometimes bewildering racial and social change in 2016. Perhaps that mix can carry him to a second term. But after Tuesday showing it will be impossible to argue that he won a second term based on reasoned and orderly roadmap out of the crisis. Trump's unwillingness to face up to the coronavirus nightmare that is staring the rest of the nation in the face leaves the impression that the man who vowed in his 2016 Republican National Convention speech, "I alone can fix it," long ago ran out of ideas on the virus. That speech horrified the Trump's critics because of its dystopian vision, but at least Trump looked stronger and was dictating the political winds. Technically, he didn't look strong at all. He looked weak. And his wandering monologue on Tuesday, he looked lost, a shadow of the man who burned down the Republican Party and the Washington political establishment. He appeared to be what he is, a president who is failing after being cruelly overtaken by events such an image that beset President Jimmy Carter in the last summer before his re-election bid amid the Iran hostage crisis is a perilous one for first-term presidents. The mystery of Trump's behavior in recent months is that it seems unlikely he can come from behind against Biden unless he can find a way to suppress this virus, or at least give Americans hope that some semblance of normal life can resume soon. But more and more it seems like Trump has played his best card, his demand several months ago for states to open up and revive the economy, which has been exposed as a backfire gamble as the pandemic races across southern and western states, and his go-to strategies of inciting division, stirring cultural warfare, and sowing confusion with misinformation doesn't seem to be working, at least if the polls are right. The fake president did his best to talk up his transition to greatness, but the idea is so divorced from the awful reality of the last few weeks, with the average daily rate of new infections hitting 60,000, that his words only serve to display his own considerable remove from reality. I think they're going to have some good news very, very quickly having to do with the vaccines, Trump said, at about the same time that Fauci said that it could take a year to a year and a half for the world to get a COVID-19 vaccine, that even many may not be completely effective. Despite the rolling shutdowns in cities across the country, which is certain to throw many Americans who work in the service, tourism, and transit industries out of work again, the fake president stuck by his predictions of a riotous return to the economic growth. But absent any credible plans to stem the COVID-19's march, all the president has to do right now is sell now his hope, which not many people are seeing it. Even I'm not seeing that. I think by election day you're going to see some incredible numbers. The third quarter is going to be really good. The fourth quarter is going to be great. But next year is going to be one of the best economic years. So hopefully I'll be able to be the president where we can say, look at the great job I did. And I know what people are going to be looking at is look at the horrible job you did.